Okay,
Oh,
so pops up and there's a permission to be given. So what is your idea? What do you have in mind? Because we can work with part work. I think that you have already tried or seen Teal's video about part work, right? I'm expecting yes. So
yeah.
very common way of doing shadow work. I work with part work, mostly with the Teal's group, and I really like it. Okay. I think the way Teal Swan uses part work, it's based on IFS, internal family system.
Yeah.
But about the concept of parts and everything. So part work and parts therapy is a way to go and to integrate like the personality and emotions and feelings and thoughts. It's one way to go. But there are like multiple levels. It's like multiple processes that we as an individual go through. Like I also work with family constellation, in which you understand the aspect of you within your family system, because it is one of the multi-processes that are going through and that actually create your reality. Have you ever heard about it? It's very similar to parts work.
I've done parts work. I haven't really looked into internal family systems at all. Yeah, I've done quite a lot of parts work. My consciousness has been through several changes over years. I started by writing down, and like my parts would write to each other. But then graduated up to being able to sort of have discussions and things.
Yeah.
How about you?
How about it? I like to have them speak directly. So that's why I really like the chairs and everything. And I really like to get into the concept of getting into the energy in itself, like full body, like having the physical experience, and how it's important to understand where my eyes as a part wants to look at, the distance that it wants to keep from another part, which part of my body is more active, either like in a positive sense, like, oh, I feel like a warmth in the heart, or like a negative sense, like I feel like a constriction, you know? All of those are information. And it's basically energy being manifested, the energy of that part being manifested within my body fully. Like the other parts are on rest, on pause, and I am fully there with that part.
Yeah. I had a part that was really good at catching, and normally I can't catch or throw, but I had one that was just throwing all my stuff around and it could catch it. I was like, oh.
Yeah. And it's funny, it's good, it's funny because some parts can actually represent past lives, personalities. At least that has been my experience, because it's a part, and the emotional body is unique. It's one throughout for the soul's existence in that planet. Okay, I'm starting to go into like very deep concepts in the middle of it. Just so you have the idea that we go into parts work, and the parts can be like past life personalities, which is interesting, instead of actually doing past life therapy, if there's an intention on this. The parts can be like your higher self. The parts can be a disease, you know, or like a disease that you're facing in part of your body. It can be like an organ too, you know?
I think my past life parts are likely to be non-verbal.
Some are like that, and some are very talkative. Some are like, hey, I still need to solve things here. They really don't like to share the attention. But it's only an idea, because like I was saying before, multi-processing. We're just like a program in a computer or something like a software, I could set a program like a software that has a lot of coding and like what to do in terms of in case something like this happened, like there's a predictability in the sense. That's how I see it. And that the predictability is within the multiprocessing that is happening. Because there's us and there's us as parts of a system. Example, family system. Us as parts of a community. Us as parts of a country. Us as parts of this planet. And as part of the solar, and so on. It goes on, right? The systemic thing.
Yeah, my parts think of us or ourselves as being a system.
Yes. And also I want to ask, I was kind of trying to introduce the techniques that I do apply, like parts work, family constellation, hypnosis, and through hypnosis, we go through past life therapy, if what the person wants to, they feel like it. Yeah, and I was talking about in the group too, liberation of energy, emotions, and generally I like to associate it with something else, like in parts work. If there's like an ancestral wound, I ask to concentrate the negative energy, to release it, and to receive the energy of the universe, like a replacement. And because it's like an ancestral thing, they just need to release it. It's not like one person that is responsible for this, and you are still affected. Multiprocessing thinking by your family wound, the ancestral wound, you know? Oh, and I do some basic level of Reiki, and I pass energy from the white fraternity, fractals of energy. I don't know if you heard anything about that, but it's just like an option.
But I've never done it.
It's just it's similar to Reiki. I don't know if you have also done Reiki, which is receiving energy. Basically, yeah. Receiving positive energy from the universe, but through the hands of someone.
Yes.
So the person's energy is mixed. And the fractals of the white fraternity is also like an initiation for the same thing, like for the white fraternity. And we connect to that energy and pass on through the hands to basically energy. It's like giving energy. Okay, those are the things that I can do. What have you thought about this session today?
I thought we were going to do some parts work in the sort of style of Teal, but that's only an assumption. If you had something you wanted to demonstrate to people, I don't mind trying something different.
No, we can do parts work. Also because it gives the idea that it's very good to have negotiation tools. So you like. Okay. Okay, so after the technical thing, so yeah, we can do it through to use the style. If necessary, we can use like liberation or things like that, or just like a way, as in a way to create solutions for the parts to feel safe. Okay. So
yeah.
what I like to do is to start by creating a safe energy space, a protection, and for you to have two chairs, and I'm going to ask you to, which parts are you wanting to have having this conversation?
I just went to one of Teal's workshops, and there were lots of people there who I wanted to connect with. But I always find a reason not to. Like, Yeah, there's a part of me that wants to have relationships, and then there's a part of me that very quickly runs away and avoids talking to people.
Okay. So a part that wants to be isolation, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the part that wants connection. So can we start isolation and the opposing part, which is probably the one wanting connection? And so I will need 2 chairs.
Right.
Yeah, 2 chairs.
Chairs. Here's a chair. Whee. Yeah. I've got my 2 chairs.
Yeah, logistics solved. Yeah. To begin with, I really like to start by breathing and creating the safe energetic space for the parts work itself. You're on your phone and you're going to take your phone to look to put at your face, right? As you change parts. But the logistic is you sit on one part, you get into the energy. You get up, you get out of that energy, and you sit on the other part and get up, get in, sit on the chair, get up, like you get out of the energy.
Yeah.
And that's how we see. Okay. To begin with, I like to begin breathing and creating the protection, which is also a video about how to deal with negative energy. Basically, the idea is to feel like a white sphere of energy inside of your heart and expand this white sphere. And after having taken a deep breath from your nose and holding the air for 3 seconds, and then releasing through the nose. And doing this also 3 times. You close your eyes, you take a deep breath. You hold the air for 1, 2, 3 seconds, and then you release it. And you repeat this again. Hold the air for 1, 2, 3, and then release it. And one last time. Holding the air for 1, 2, 3, and then releasing it. With your eyes remaining closed, you feel your heart right now. And I want you to feel from your heart a white sphere growing. And this white sphere starts expanding out of your chest. And inside this white sphere is your spiritual guide. And as the white sphere expands out of your chest, it pushes away any negative feeling, thought, or energy that might potentially create a level of unsafety in the current moment, in the current practice of parts work. So everything that could somehow create a turbulence here, it's just like expelled to the outsides of this white sphere. And the idea also is to keep the white sphere in place throughout the duration of the process. With you ask your spiritual guide to keep it like throughout at the room you're in, you know?
A protective bubble.
Yeah, a protection bubble, basically. And once the full therapy has been ended, the energy work has been ended, you ask the white sphere to be integrated back into your heart. So no energy is like left somewhere. Okay. The most important part also is about breathing and being in a more calm state to start. How do we start? We know the part that wants to isolate from other people, and the other part, the opposing part. I want you to stand to look at the chairs from a different position. Look at the chairs with your right hand to the first chair. I want you to touch the chair and say here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I project the energy
I project the energy
of the part that isolates from people.
of the part that isolates from people.
Okay. Other hand, other chair.
Okay.
Yeah. Here.
Here I project the energy of
the opposing part
the opposing part.
to the part that isolates.
They say they're not in opposition already.
Okay. Okay, you can sit on the part that isolates first on the chair. And tell me how it feels to be there.
That's nice. I'm on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me how you perceive your body. Is there a part of your body that is more active right now?
I've drawn my arms in close, like my
Mhm.
left arm is like tucked in, like I'm giving myself half a hug.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me how you feel, meaning how you perceive yourself, this part.
Skinny
Mm.
and small, but not young.
Mm.
Like,
Mm.
I think it has to do like with not being seen.
Mhm. Can be. You don't feel young. How old do you feel?
I'm not even sure.
Okay.
I can't measure years because
Mhm. You don't have to measure in years. It can be like a feeling of like feeling like an adult or something like this.
it feels like forever.
Forever. Interesting.
Mm.
Let's concentrate on this feeling like forever. It can go beyond human years. In your eyes, it's okay. It's okay.
Just for all of my existence, like before I existed, there wasn't really an existence for me.
Okay. If you feel like crying, do it. This
Oh
is
yeah,
the moment for this. It's
already doing
okay.
it.
Yeah, I know, I'm saying.
Yeah, it was quite overwhelming to step into that.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes. But this is the moment for that reaction to happen. This is what we want. We want to get to know you as this part of you. So in the beginning, you thought that it was great to be by yourself, but I saw that you had like, you felt the tears when you noticed that you have been like this forever, or that's the sensation that has been.
It's really conflicting. Yes, it's
Mhm.
it's extremely painful. It's tight. My throat is tight. My jaw is clenched.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
like I've been crying for hours.
Mhm. I think it would be good to cry out right now.
But
Sure. Yes,
but
it helps. Mhm.
like they're not happy tears, but
Okay.
there's when you cry happy tears, it's like
Mhm.
there's a connection.
Yes.
I don't know how to describe it. It's like feeling two different things at once.
Mhm. So could it be that like crying could be like a way to reach relief, some relief?
No, it's
Like releasing pressure?
Yeah, I feel like some pressure got released. Yes, like there was a lot there, and I just opened the door to it.
Mhm. Okay.
Yeah.
First thing, it's okay to feel how you feel, whatever you feel.
Yeah.
Mhm. And sometimes when the feeling feels like forever, I'm talking from the point of experience of past lives. It can be from it, it can be a feeling that it has been inherited through a past life. Possibility, not saying that it is. For us to understand this, we have to be more present with this feeling, with the feeling of that it feels like it's forever, that you have felt isolated.
For me, it has been forever.
Mm.
Because I was born
Mm.
and then I was isolated.
Mm. Before you were born, have you felt isolated or not?
No.
How was the feeling when you were in the womb? Meaning this part can feel the energy. Connect to it. How was the feeling?
It was just temperature and noise
Mm.
and
Okay.
color.
Color. Mhm. Was there a sense of like being okay being there or not? What was the sense?
I didn't know I was an individual.
Okay.
It wasn't until I saw someone else that I knew what I was.
Mm. Okay. And when you knew what you were, how did it make you feel? Can you connect to that first memory, to that first impression?
Yeah, then I sort of realized I was part of someone else, I suppose. I was part of my mother.
Mm. Mhm.
Like, I didn't feel any separation at that point.
Mhm. Mhm. Yes. At the point that you were a newborn then, because that's when you understand that you had a perspective.
Yeah.
So, but were the feeling of isolation was still there, even when you felt as you met your mother and there was no separation between you two?
Well, then there was no separation between us. We were one person in a
Being.
sense, one being.
Mm.
But then I still didn't know of anything else, anyone else.
Mm.
I think I, I, I didn't have like any sadness accompanying this isolation when I
Mm.
was born.
Mm.
Isolation was just the only state of being I had ever known. It's only through sort of painful traumas of trying to change that isolation that it's
Mm.
become something sad.
Mm. Okay. We can investigate more also later on after we have more impressions, because this is kind of the investigation part, the mapping.
Mm.
Could you please look at the other chair and the other part, the part that exists in opposition to you, and tell me how you feel when you look at it?
Seems two-dimensional,
Mm.
flat.
Okay, flat. Can you translate this to like an image to me? Because you say it's flat, but it's like a cardboard of a person.
Yes. but angled towards you so you can only see the edge of the cardboard. So you sort of have to peer around to see anything.
I just need to see your face. The ones needing to see the other part. You're the one who needs to see, basically. And tell me how you feel about it. I want you to observe every reaction. Are you okay with the distance that there is between the chairs? Because between you and that part. Do you feel comfortable or uncomfortable looking at it? Do you want to look at it or do you want to look somewhere else?
No, no.
Yeah.
No, it's slightly ominous. Like a storm cloud that hasn't rained yet, and you're like, oh, yeah, I'm not going to go out just in case it rains.
Interesting. So basically, something that is way creates too much complications to be worthy of the effort to go for it.
I'm not judging worthiness.
Yeah, I understand, but what I want to see is like the concept, if how it feels, it can be translated like this.
The ominousness, foreboding. Like a button you shouldn't push, or a hot hob that you shouldn't touch.
I'm not going to say in the sense of worthiness, but like too much of a trouble to actually create like the impulse to actually go and do it. Too much trouble to try.
We never thought. This is the first time we're really confronting this issue. So too much trouble. We have to think about that. I need to center again. I don't associate with the concept of trouble or too much trouble. I don't do any level of trouble.
Maybe you were not trouble. You was the part that wants to isolate.
Yeah, but, well, when I was a child, I was told I was very troublesome, but in my mind, I was not. I was very well behaved.
So the very word trouble or troublesome can be a triggering word.
It is to me.
And worthy and unworthiness. Is it too?
No, we're just disinterested in worth.
What I was going to say is the sense of the effort needed to go to that part, to be like that part, to be one with that part, can be too much to be worthy of the try. In the sense of like, can be too much effort to be put on into, to be one with that. So, okay. Can you drag your chair? I don't want you to drag the other chair. I want you to drag your chair right next to the other, to the other part. And tell me how you feel. Everything can be like your toes are itching. It can be like this.
Oh.
How does it feel to be side by side?
It does feel different.
Different how?
It's like a friend.
Like a friend.
Like I'm touch. You know when you're just walking along and you sort of brush shoulders with someone,
Mm-hmm.
and just that casual connection. That's what I feel.
So it's good. It's positive.
Mm.
But like from your description previously, it didn't seem like a real thing, but like a cardboard person.
Yes, but now we're sideways.
So can you look at that chair again? Does it seem the same way or not?
Seems quite. It's quite interesting. Doesn't look like me.
Hmm. How does
Sort
it
of
look like?
grey skinned, very
Which-
textured.
Wait, can you describe it again? What's the color of the skin?
Grey.
Hmm. And it has texture?
Mm.
What does it look like?
In places smooth, in places wrinkled. Somewhere shiny. It's not wet.
Mm-hmm. Like an alien, basically.
A little bit alien. A little bit alien, but more not glamorized.
Okay.
Like when you see the skin of an animal, like
Mm-hmm.
I think of something with grey skin, like an elephant or a rhino.
Mm-hmm.
It's got that sort of textured, real quality to it, but at the same time, not that
Mm-hmm.
thick or warm.
Mm.
Like a softer version of that.
Okay. But the way it looks, does it seem inviting to you or differently? Something different.
No, it's quite cold. It seems like there's wisdom there, but it's not directed at me. Like that part is still just staring forwards.
Mm. It's not connecting to you.
No.
Okay. You was the isolated part. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay. Is there anything else that you want to say to that part?
No.
Okay. Can you please stand up and we go to the park? Sit on the park position. The chair. Mm-hmm. Tell me how you feel. And just let your body do the movements that it wants to be making.
Mm.
How do you feel?
I'm okay, thank you.
Hmm?
Good.
You're okay. Okay. I need more details. How does your heart feel? How does your throat feel? Mm-hmm.
All the air had gone from my lungs. Oh,
Okay.
I feel bigger.
Let's be.
I feel bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Not an alien.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
It can be like, but how do you feel your skin? Are you still feeling like grayish and with texture, different texture on that part? Mm-hmm.
That part just doesn't know how to connect to anyone.
Okay. Okay. So tell me about you.
Me's complicated because I don't really exist as an entity roaming the streets most of the time.
Mhm.
I'm just now some sort of contrast.
Mm.
But we collectively, we do desire connection. That's been a huge theme for us for this year and times before.
Yeah.
Um,
What I want to ask you is, it will be like a strange question, but do you think that you can be like active most of the time?
no,
Having a way to have an agreement with the other part, to be active more?
no, we're temporary. I'm not going to exist after this conversation.
Why? Where are you going to go?
It's complicated. Our consciousness has evolved.
Mm.
We have permanent parts, and then we have the ability to step into temporary experiences.
Mhm. Okay. Hmm. I can ask questions like, how old do you feel?
Young,
Mm.
good. Again, years are still going to be an issue, but younger than my real age is 42. That's how old my body.
Mhm.
Good body, but we feel younger.
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm. But the answer that you gave me was the answer of like an ancient being, like explaining how parts are temporary and this, and they go back into reintegration and everything. That's why I'm asking you. How young, as in, did you arrive at this session today, or did you just like connected through this?
I'm not sure. People measure age in different ways, but I feel based on experiences I've had, and I feel like I had the experience of somewhere between sort of 21 and 30.
Okay. So like a young adult, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. How do you feel in terms of, are you male or female? This
We're all
energy,
men. Yes.
both of you are men. Okay. Sometimes we do feel differently. Is there a part of your body that is more active right now? It can be good or like a pain.
I'm sort of like a teapot.
Mm.
I don't know why.
Teapot, like your arms, like yes. Means a relaxed position. So you're okay. It feels like you're comfortable in the position that you're in.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
what I'm
comfortable.
reading from this.
And my legs are. Oh, I don't know if I could do that. Anyway, my legs are sort of tucked in, whereas in the other part they were sort of stretched out. But I don't know how I would interpret that. I think I'm keeping my ankles warm.
Well, it could be about you actually having less space to exist. Meaning
Wow. Yeah.
parts of personality, they occupy like a time slot in the time during the day. You're like from Luke's time, but like there are parts of the personality that are like more active during some parts of the day.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I'm like pressed fully into the back of my, like, I'm squished in.
Yeah, a little bit, yes. You're not the usual one, the one that is more active when meeting people or dealing in the daily life. It's more the other part. So the thing that we can go is understand why. Why can't you? It seems that you can be buddies, friends, but there is a reason why this happens. And you told me that you felt real right now, but you're going to disappear. Why? You said basically that you're transitory, that you're temporary. that
We,
that you were young, but you were like going to disappear. The beginning, the middle of the conversation.
yeah, that might be a conversation for another time.
Am I asking if
To
look
create a part,
or
to create a part that it becomes a permanent part of your life is a huge investment. You're taking on a responsibility for that part,
Mhm.
and part of that responsibility is to accept everything that comes with that part.
Mhm.
And we've had some negative experiences with that.
Understand.
So,
Mhm.
so this is kind of an agreement we've reached that allows us to explore parts without exposing us to some of the risks that we've encountered through doing this sort of work.
Okay, understand.
Because there's safe practice and then there's unsafe practice, and you seem safe to me, but I've run across in the past some bad experience. Yeah.
In the past, okay, it's understandable. The way I see, I can only say my personal experience. Even if we do our best to like safeguard ourselves from actually going through like creating another part without us like being able to take full responsibility of them, if there's trauma, or if there is like, yeah, which is trauma. If there's trauma, there is a pain that is unresolved, like by Teal, what she says, explain, the parts will be created. Even if we opted into creating them or not, because we went through the trauma, we have to deal with them. So what I think that it's the most like sensible or the most like compassionate thing to do is to be present with them and to be, you know, the circumstances of your creation were fucked up. But I'm still here with you, no matter what. Because you are part of me, you are me. I will not cease to be you, basically. To me, cease to be a part seems like abandoning them. But that's my personal experience and also what I think.
We've had some experiences where people have put us down and then tried to create parts out of that shame that they put there in us.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone abuses you and then tries to create a part of it that becomes part of your permanent personality and takes on,
yeah,
I think it's worthwhile to have some protection against being attacked in that way.
Yeah, it is. As long as it works. That's the thing. Everything is valid as long as it works for you. And what works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. And it's okay. It's the difference that enriches lives, actually. It's the difference in perspectives. Okay. I want to ask you, do you want to stay? You as a part that connects, do you want to stay or not? And it's okay for you to answer for your actual desire.
We're both just parts of the whole. We're like a distillation. It's like if you get a cappuccino and you just pick off the froth, like I'm the froth, but the cappuccino's
Yes,
like
okay.
dying.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to rephrase the question. Do you want to have to create this part of connection right now? Do you want to have it like and recognize it as a part, as in not as in being created by trauma, but being created in the context of healing? Because
it. So we didn't really have a conversation at the beginning about what state my consciousness is in. All of my parts have come together and integrated. So we'll become part of that integrated whole. These memories won't be lost. And that is collective
yes.
will retain this information in whatever sense works for us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm. Okay. What I want to say and to ask too is how you feel right now about the other part. I mean, beyond like understanding that you are like just polarities of the same thing, just like sides of the same thing, but what do you feel right now about it?
Some responsibility,
Mm.
some guilt, but also gratitude, because that part's
Mm.
carrying all
The weight of what?
the pain.
Mm.
Yeah, it's only by reaching into that part that I become sad.
Yes, you become sad. Okay.
Mm.
Why are you responsible for the pain of what?
Um, No, responsible. Responsibility and guilt as feelings
Uh-huh.
don't mean I am responsible.
Yeah, but you told me that you feel like guilty, that you haven't taken your responsibility, what it seems like to be. And I'm
It's
going to ask you about what?
where I say I know I should feel that way because that's not how it really is, but I can't help feeling guilty anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Okay.
that part is for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It has protected you all. It has served you in a sense. You as the whole, the complex that is. Look.
that
Yeah.
part not see itself as a protector, but in that sense, yes, it's definitely a pain carrier. Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like a donkey
Mm-hmm.
carrying the packs.
Yeah, and it creates the circumstance, the situation of you isolating yourself. You as the whole, the group, isolating from other people.
I don't know if it creates that. It's enabling it. Mm,
It can be enabling, but
yeah.
basically it's the strategy there is to isolate from people. It's the strategy. Okay. It
It's
isn't
not.
bad or good. It's just the response.
No, the isolation is like a byproduct
Hmm.
of whatever this part is doing.
Hmm.
It's not seeking isolation. It's
Hmm.
like a bleeding fear or something.
Hmm.
That part doesn't know what connection is
Hmm.
and what it's missing.
Hmm. Okay. What we got as information from that part was that it felt like isolated since forever, since the time they were born. Uh, and also, it didn't feel separated from the mother. But even what I understood from that is was connected with your mother. That part and your mother felt isolated from the other, from the world.
When the child's born, it's still connected by the placenta. And in that sense, two would be one. And I think that's what was going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
No, they have like some studies that developmental sense that up until 3 months of age, the baby still thinks that they are part of the mother, their
oh,
mother's body. Yeah, it's not about this. It's about why, the structure, the unity was with the mother, and still there was the sense of isolation about the outside world.
mm.
The question is why? Well, you are in a different perspective. I just wanted to get to know your perspective before we would get more information about that part. Because by having your perspective, we get to, the part has more information about how it's perceived and how it has been sensed to, like how it has been affected the rest of the parts, meaning the rest of Luke.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking you those things.
Yeah, I
Because
can
you're
see it.
you're possibly the part that's connected. And I want to ask you more, how do you work? Meaning, what does make you, what are your strategies to bring what you need, and what do you need? What do you perceive as your need?
Hold on. Slipped out of. What I need.
And how do you go after those needs? Or not? Or not go?
It's what I believed I've needed. I've believed I need like connection, but the reality is, like, I can have connection, like one-on-one, small groups in a comfortable setting, without too much distractions. Not too much noise or discomfort. I can connect with people. It's some of it comes from like a lack of experience. Like it took time to become okay with just having like small close groups and individual connection. And I guess it's just scaling that up. It's something I want to pursue.
Okay, so to you, this is a desire, a want. You want to have more connection in smaller groups.
Yeah. Well, I can already have that in small groups, like one-to-one. But I don't want to be limited in that sense of having to walk away every time there's more than 3 people in a room.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's connect to that feeling of feeling like you have to walk away when there's like more than 3 people in the room. Can you connect to this and describe to me how it feels? Especially how it feels in your body. There's like a part of your body that is more active.
It's like a freeze response and then a flight response.
Okay, let's connect to it.
Where do I sit? What do I do? What do I say? Who are these people? How am I going to remember the names? Who do I sit next to? Why just questioning everything, and then you add to that, the more questions there are between each of the different, like, and then you noise coming in every ear, stuff going on. I've got to look 2 directions if there's 2 people. It's harder to figure out what people are thinking, what their mood is, because I can't focus on just one. Yeah, it feels overwhelming. I would want, if I was going to sit in that situation, I would want to be back against the wall with like one of my ears protected, hearing in one side. I sort of see everything from a corner.
Interesting.
But then also not blocked in. I'd like to have like a free get up and go if I need to. It's suddenly a lot of things I need and stuff that one-on-one it's not the case.
I'm going to ask a question from what I understood from this, but it has to do with attention, with you wanting to give quality of your attention to other people, the quality of your attention, good attention, positive attention, and be present and be able to keep up with what's going on. But it can also be about being able to control the situation. Meaning, why? Why would be, meaning being able to control the situation, as in what people are thinking, how you can actually connect with their emotions, As in, it seems like it's something like a worry, like a constant source of like, I need to act upon this. I need to give this as a result, and I need to get that attention and get to know the environment and how can I get out if needed, and what exactly every person is doing. And I'm going to ask why there's so much pressure to know everything. What it's so like dangerous about not being knowing everything, not having the control of everything.
It's not needing to control everything, it's needing to be attuned.
Why it's so necessary to need to be attuned? Why cannot you just like not be attuned for a moment?
Well, partly from my past is when I was in the family situation, I was put in a position to try and meet other people's needs, and so I had to be attentive to that.
Okay.
It was the right time and a wrong time for everything, and I had to gauge when the right time for me to do anything. And then later on in life, through the friendships I have had, people have often said that I say stupid things, or I speak without thinking, or I'm insensitive, rude, and all manner of like little slights that.
So it seems like a lot of punishment for making mistakes, meaning not being attuned and being punished with this.
Yeah, I didn't interpret it as punishment, but certainly me making lots of mistakes has been brought to my attention, yes.
But you suffered like consequences, negative consequences for this. Which kind of, from what you explain, how you explain, makes you all the time like attentive to this. All of the time you're putting like, you're on the clock, like over attentive and trying to monitor everything. It's like in the way of controlling the situation, but not because you want to dominate others. It's just to not be put into negative situations. Just that, just to be safe.
Yeah, I think dominance has its place, but that's definitely not what's going on here. It's more like trying to take care of others, to not harm them, to not be objectionable. Part of that's to their, and then part can get rejected.
I'm going to ask questions like I am a 5-year-old. Please bear with me.
Yeah.
Why it's so dangerous to not be attuned to them? Why it's so dangerous to hurt other people? Just think, just hear the question and ask yourself why it's so dangerous to act like a dickhole, like an asshole, like a dick. Why?
That goes against our self-concept.
Okay. So, can you describe to me what would you feel if you acted like an asshole? How would you feel?
Yeah,
hurting by your actions.
I'd be as bad as the people who hurt me.
So, in a way, you would be repeating the same things that made you hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. But does that allow you to be extremely exhausting to yourself? To ask you to have so much attention and so much, and to give so much of you when interacting with other people, just to not repeat the negative patterns of people who hurt you? Will the other people will actually be hurt with things that you think that will hurt, but maybe they won't be hurt?
All of my experience tells me that they will.
Okay.
But how much of that is true, I don't know, because a lot of my relationships have ended with people blaming me.
Okay, and that is painful. That makes you think, am I the problem?
Doubt it completely.
Yeah. Yes, it's a normal reaction, honestly. Okay, but that's the thing. What I want to ask, look, what I want to ask, I want to say, repeat the sentence, but I won't do like a Star Wars fan. What I want to ask is, what is actually you? Again, you, the part that connects to people, what is actually you? What could be if you could like,
No, I'm just
make a summary in one word, what are you? What is the most important thing for you? One word.
most important thing.
One word.
Reciprocity.
So connection for you is about reciprocity. It almost didn't get out. Okay.
If I have to pick one word, then yes.
How does it feel like? Describe to me. Like I'm a 5-year-old. How does reciprocity feels like?
You know that game, Pass the Parcel, where kids sit in a circle and then they pass a certain box around and then eventually one of them gets to open it?
Mm-hmm.
Reciprocity is where you both hand each other parcels and you both get to open your parcels, you both win a prize, and then you get to enjoy your prize and the other person enjoying their prize
Okay.
at the same time.
Okay. And connect to that feeling that you described me. Connect to it. How does it feel like? Which area of your body is more like active as you feel like you think about that emotion and that situation?
It comes through the muscles, sort of up in a cross, and sort of like a wave. Okay. It's quite a nice feeling. Sort of glow. Some sort of harmonious harmony vibe. And it's connection because you're experiencing a similar thing to the other person at the same time, and you're getting to see both your experience and theirs separately and together at the same time. So there's that overlap. You're yourself and you're also someone else. It also is about how to have someone else and not lose yourself too.
Yes.
Feels like that.
Interesting. And I understand what you meant in the sense of like you connect and you belong with that person in a positive situation in which the sharing of feelings is not something that puts pressures on the other person. Quite the opposite. Makes the mutual happiness makes it easy to just be and to just enjoy the feeling at that moment.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be happiness. It was in that example, but I can connect with people over happiness over.
But the example serves the purpose of if we are more integrated and if we are more like healed in the process of having a relationship to be a healing relationship, then the situations of happiness will be more frequent because we are returning to the state of love, unconditional love from the universe, and that's it. It's the state of happiness. The summary, the short version of it. You know? So you can aim for that feeling with another person, with other people, you know? And it's okay to be going for that. I want you to compare, to feel the comparison, how you currently feel when you connect to people, and with the comparison of the feeling that you explained to me.
Yeah, we don't target people based on what we want. We take people as they are and then try to find compatibility with them.
Okay.
But that can often lead to unsatisfying experience.
Okay. there are ways to go to find compatibility. I'm going to describe different strategies. My brother, for example, he is very he like a joker person. He jokes about many different things, and especially dark humor. So as he meets someone, he will try the worst joke that he can possibly come up with to see if that person will be compatible with his sense of humor.
Mm.
But you see, it's a first impression that pushes away people. My mother, when she meets someone, her first impression is to kind of like being warmth and like being there present to listen to that person. And so it's a kind of meeting that brings people close to her. You know? And there are
Yeah.
different strategies. What is your strategy? You of this part.
I do have a strategy. One of the things I look for is emotional language. So I'm looking to see, are they using emotional words when they describe how they feel?
Mm-hmm.
Some people, when you ask how are you feeling, they say, well, I feel like a brick wall. And that's not emotionally descriptive.
Mm-hmm.
Or they
No.
feel beaten up by a truck.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people, when you ask them how they feel, they say, I feel sad or angry. And they're really emotion and they know how they're actually emotionally feeling. And so because that's a sign of having done some inner work. And I know if they identify those emotions in themselves, then they'll have an easier time showing empathy to me. I'm showing empathy to them because they'll give me the language to tell me how they're actually feeling.
Okay. So do they make you feel safer instead of the other people? The other kind of people? Okay. So is this something that you want to go after? Is this your strategy? Paying attention to the language?
That's definitely I do employ is whoever I'm meeting, I listen to that language. And when I ask, how do you feel, which people ask that all the time, I start to pay attention at that time. So what do they respond?
Okay, interesting. Another thing, do you pay attention on how you feel, as in the automatic responses that you feel when you start connecting to the people or not? Do you listen to this? Do you listen to your intuition when you connect to people or not?
Sorry. Quite often, like if it's a WhatsApp group or something, I'll start typing out my response. Then I'll question it, saying, maybe I should just say, yeah, I'm fine. And then I'll delete it and say nothing.
So, but it does seem like that is mostly a protector part or a part of you that rethinks if you should actually say how you feel. The question can be why about it, but the question I asked, we can talk about this first. Yes, why?
Well, this is why I'm looking for someone who has that emotional language nailed down, because I would feel safest and most comfortable having those kinds of conversations where I'm honest about how I feel with people who receive me and see me.
Okay. Okay. So it means that for you to have safety is to already know who are those people who you can be emotionally open about.
Yeah.
To establish connection. For the language and everything. But what I was asking the why was as in, from what you described, going into like searching for those people seems like it takes a lot of effort. And are you willing to go for this effort? That's what I'm asking.
No, I don't eliminate people based, but it governs what our relationship will look like. So I can still have a relationship with someone who doesn't use emotional language, but I won't share with them authentically how I'm feeling. We won't have those deep heart-to-heart conversations where I'm crying.
So you're going to keep a distance, a safety distance.
They might serve a different purpose, meet a different need in my life. Perhaps there'll be someone I go out to a comedy club with or a run.
Okay.
and we can talk about business and economics or whatever.
What I see is also a way in which you, and it's a good thing to do, it's observing and analyzing which conversation you can have with whom. Who is actually ready for some conversations on that level. But it can also give you the risk of, if you don't have enough information, right? If you don't ask the questions, that you can miss someone who could be ready, or who just has a different language, different way to express themselves, but they do know their feelings. Like, there are people who will say, like, give an image because they're more visual or something like this, or like they're technical or meaning about the sensations of the body, or they are more like audible. And that's the different thing about the way people perceive the world. That it's normal to have differences about it.
Yeah.
And so I think that perhaps you might miss people with your strategy.
It's not a perfect strategy.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I also see that it puts a lot of pressure on you. So I'm going to ask a question. You don't have to have an answer right now. How can you think of improving that strategy and taking away pressure from it? How can you make this analysis more effortless? Where's the missing element of this?
How to make it more effortless? I think that our other part might be able to answer that, because the effortless way is to be alone and do nothing, not speak.
Yeah. But what I want, and I'm going to give you the kind of the spoilers right now, is to be more into effortless, into connecting to people, or more towards that. That's what I want. Okay.
Intuitively, that doesn't make sense. Like, surely I would have to put more effort in if I'm not currently succeeding.
I don't know. I don't have all the answers. One of the possibilities can be you take away pressure of having to be right, having to get things right in the moment, and just trying it out, and like not thinking so much about the consequences as you try. And naturally, if you do find people who have the same language, you go after trying to improve it, or have more conversations one-on-one, because that's the kind of conversation that works with you. You have to see that with yourself, your attention. If it's one-on-one, it's easier to give your attention. So if there are people of interest, basically, that you see this, you have individual conversations. And when you have like the group conversations, they can act like allies into that, understanding the language, because you can pay attention to how people are having a conversation too. And you don't actually need to connect to the person and talk about it first. You can just observe. It takes away also pressure. This is me talking about possibilities, not the actual solution. How do you feel about it?
In large groups, it's still a bit of an issue with noise and being able to focus on one thing, one person, or one conversation at a time. But then I also have some resistance that came up when you were speaking.
Okay.
And it's gone now. I see if I can remember.
So, speak too much.
It came up and
came to a resistance. You thought about a resistance, like a feeling. Was it connected to a part of your body? Because it can also be.
it affects my body in sort of almost a surge of adrenaline. I take a deep breath. I'm sort of gearing up to fight. And then with the in-breath and taking in energy, my consciousness becomes sort of wider and more searching. I'm more aware of my surroundings and sort of alert for threats and, well, not even threats, just alert. But it's my surroundings here rather than connecting to you down the phone. So it sort of can take me out as well.
Yes, can make you disconnect, but you are the connected part.
Yeah.
The thing is, my action, talking too much, and not giving you the space to say something in the middle, you created that same feeling of I need to fight, or there will be a threat coming my way. The question is why? Connect to it. Why? If someone is talking about something and they're not stopping to listen to you, why does it create a sensation of being a dangerous thing?
I think it was something to do with how we treat other people. We have quite strong non-negotiables in terms of influencing other people.
Okay.
Yes, you said something about being detached from the outcome.
Yes.
Right. And I had the thought that the people I've looked down on in the past as bad people, I suppose, share that trait where they don't care what happened. They can spit on you and not care how you feel about that. So that's when the resistance kicked in. When from the outcome of.
Okay. What I did mean was like, you express an opinion. Let's say you express that you love dogs, you love puppies. Someone had a horrible experience with a puppy, and that left that person traumatized. But does that mean that puppies are bad in general, or they're bad for that person? For that person, right? The thing is, if you talk about puppies and you don't know about the other person having a triggering about it, so not caring about the outcome is being about you expressing what you want to express without having to be careful about how the other person feels. Not because you're expressing something negative, but because you're expressing your truth, and your truth, in that case of the puppies, for example, saying, I like puppies. It's not something that will be harmful to others or intentionally harmful, but it can be triggering because everything can be triggering. And if you're in the thing about putting pressure on yourself to not hurt other people, then you can be putting a lot of you can be policing yourself way too much. And that can be harmful because you're in a constant state of alert. You're on high alert all the time. That's not alive. I can say from my own experience, that's not alive. So you got up from the chair and more central perspective, right? Yes. Okay.
These perspectives.
Do you feel any difference between being there and not being there?
We're just holding that, preserving that space for that purpose.
Okay. I kind of already told you what I want to do in the end, but it's like to have the idea. Not that we necessarily have to go there as an outcome. But the main things that I want to identify are, what is the thing that is indisposable to have when connecting to people? That's something that you cannot say, I cannot give this up, right? What are the things that you cannot give up in any sort of way? What has been your strategy? How that strategy has made you feel? And how can we think about a way to like tinker the strategy, or like change it somehow to make it possible to feel it in a lighter way, more in a flow state? Because it means less effort, means more connectedness and alignment with your purpose too.
Well, at the moment, it seems redundant to even worry about it, because that part takes us out of any situation that would even begin to get near to that.
So that part stops it.
Yeah. So on the last dozen occasions where we've begun to engage with a large group, we just got up and walked out.
Yeah, okay. Well, it can also mean that right now engaging with a large group isn't safe, doesn't feel safe, and it would be like an aggression to your parts to be there. It might not be the same thing in the future, but that's the thing. We don't control that. Nothing of it. We don't know whichever way our integration of parts will lead us. It's like the crazy ride. The crazy ride for like existence as a human. But tell me more, how does that make you feel, like realizing this, that the other part like cuts off that possibilities?
I'm just enjoying my protective bubble. It makes me feel I don't know, like I don't. Well, I suppose it makes me like I'm trying to knock down a brick wall. It's too strong.
Too much effort.
Like, well, I suppose that's not right, because it's more personified. It's more like to act, to intervene, to prevent that part from inactive separation would be an aggression against myself.
Okay.
Like, I can't hurt that part, and that part's doing its thing to keep safe.
Yeah. To keep you safe, because connecting to too many people gives you a lot of pressure, brings you a lot of sense of like high alert, and probably your body cannot work with that amount of pressure. And it's okay. It's okay to understand that this is how it is in the moment. Okay. So we already identify those things. Would it make sense for you to ask that other part to wait a little bit before it acted upon its decision of cutting it off, cutting the connection off? Meaning waiting more time to give you as the part that connects, more time to connect to people, and to see if it works, if you feel safe and comfortable in that the environment and in that setting. This is a possibility of how you two can work together.
Maybe I have a sneaky suspicion we're already working together. Like,
you are.
as you saying that, I'm like, actually, the work of talking to people in a group isn't comfortable for me. I want the connection that comes from it, but but with the level of discomfort that I also experience as well as that part, we both share that comfortable experience. It's just I'm more directed towards it, and that one is more directed away from it.
Okay.
So when that one walks away, I'll make my excuses as to what else I'm going to do. I'll find something else to focus on and make something positive out of that experience. Yeah.
Okay.
It still feels like a thwarted goal, even though I'm complicit.
You're kind of not fighting more to have your space, but at the same, you're like your time of connection. But it makes sense because it overwhelms you.
Yeah.
So what I was trying to say or to ask is, how can we have that part that knows your limit about connection with other people? It still feels like sad and everything. It can feel sadness. But at the same time, how could we grant you more time? And if it makes sense for you to ask to that part more time, meaning more time to connect to people before you isolate, and that being a process, and building trust out of it, as in you also knowing, you as the part that connects, also knowing, respecting your boundaries, meaning, oh, I cannot give attention to all those people right now. I will only give attention to a smaller group of people. You know, by you knowing yourself, going for what works for you. But works for you so you have more time active. Because that's what brings people closer to you. If that makes sense.
We have just been talking. The idea of needing more time, the idea that any one thing is going to change this situation feels like an aggression to us. Neither of us really want this situation to change.
Okay.
Which is odd because it is harming on us in a way, and it forces us to sit with our burdens. But the idea of changing it for either of us is...
Neither of you want it to change. Well,
that
explains a lot.
we resistance to it, yeah.
Yeah, both of you are in resistance. And the question is why? And just be open about it. Connect to that feeling. Why change would be bad? What would it require?
Oh, not bad, futile.
Futile. Why?
We can imagine a scenario where some well-meaning person, in this case, we can project it onto you. So you were trying to help us and suggesting all these things we could do, and we could waste years of our life trying to change them, and then it would make no difference. Because it doesn't feel like the problem is needing more time or needing to do something differently.
What is the problem then?
We've reached an equilibrium. We've reached a point of cooperation, working together and against each other. It's like, you know, if you put two strings in a pocket, they'll become tied together.
Yes. Yeah.
And then it can be hard to untie them. And if you did untie them, they wouldn't be together anymore. You explain what was. And that involves a huge unknown. We don't know what would be if it wasn't what we have. And what we have is what kept.
you can still have like a harmonious like relationship, the both of you, and have a different way to go for this. Can happen. But my main thing is, what is the big frustration or dangers of changing? How
Mm.
is your current like cooperation right now? Because it can be a different way to cooperate.
Yeah,
Right now, it seems to be a cooperation to break, to destroy connections. It can be a cooperation to build connections.
Ooh, it's just like a wall of pain. It'd be like having a wall of lava and just like willingly just walking into it, going la clap, melt. It just like throwing ourselves off a cliff.
So the idea of change would feel like that. Is that it?
Yes, the idea of change in the terms of untying the knot between us or changing the situation that we've arrived at. So essentially, the idea of not having that ability to escape, of not being able to just get up and walk away when we're overwhelmed. Feels incredible.
Okay, and it is frightening. Sorry, cough. I'm having a cough.
Well, I'm gonna go on mute for a second.
I coughed on camera, so had a fit of coughing. Okay. So you don't want to lose a good strategy. That is walking away when overwhelmed.
Yeah.
This is a good strategy. And it's also sometimes a more self-loving action and decision to make. Self-loving in the sense of going after safety first.
Yeah, it's like a 50-50, like it is and it isn't. It's like harm and love at the same time, I suppose.
Okay, yeah, okay. But it can be a strategy that can work as long as we can work about the idea of what actually makes you overwhelmed. Not in a sense of like putting pressure to break the concept of what actually overwhelms you, but into the sense of like creating more effortless actions and connections to be more effortless. And so the very need to walk away will be needed in extreme cases. In cases there's aggression, in cases there's unworkability. Those cases you should walk away, should get up and walk away. But in cases that's not the case, there can be other options, other solutions, even to not establish a deeper connection with that person, the other person. But this is an idea, not needing to do it now. Just think about it. I want to go to the other part, if it's okay.
Yeah. I want my chair back over here.
Okay. Why do you want your chair back over with a distance?
I just want my own space.
It's what feels best. There's a reason why it feels best. And I'm going to nag you about it. Sorry. But it's part of being a 5-year-old. Why? Why does it feel best to have a bigger distance right now?
Because I know where my edges are.
And side by side, you didn't know where your edges were?
I have to think about other people's elbows and arms and legs and space.
Okay.
I'm very conscious when I sit next to someone that I'm not encroaching on their space.
Okay. Why?
I'm not sure.
Let's be present with this.
I think I would be attacked.
Okay.
I think in the past, this is coming from very young, but at home, if I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, I would be told off. At school, I'd be hurt or verbally abused. If my foot was in the wrong place, someone would just kick it. If I was still in the wrong place, I'd be knocked down or barged out of the way. It was safest for me to move out of other people's way.
You make yourself small. But is Luke a small guy or not? A tall person? Medium.
Luke doesn't care. Size. Luke likes to be flexible, so Luke would not like to be considered large or small. He'd like to be someone who can be large or small as needed.
Okay. Okay. I'm hoping that I don't start a fit of coughing again. But I understand that. Meaning moments in which even occupying space means something that people will use against you.
Or even like it's not my space, it's their space.
Yeah.
In the extreme.
Okay. Yeah.
I've never felt that I have space that's shared.
Never?
I have my space and other people have theirs.
That's how you feel safer, basically.
I'm not sure that's keeping me safe. I find it sad. It is keeping it has kept me safe to stay out of other people's space, but I'm not sure having the separation of space is keeping me safe. I quite like the idea of having a shared space and it's okay to be in it and you don't get attacked for being in someone else's space. That appeals to me.
So would it make sense that would be something that you want? To be in the same space of other people and not being attacked for that happening?
I'd love to try it. I'm not sure if it can exist. I think it can. I just haven't had any experience of that.
Have you been in a relationship before? Was there shared space there?
In a limited sense. But at the same time, not really. No. Like I've had my side of the bed that I sleep in there, so I've had my spot on the sofa that I occupy, and they have theirs, and I, you know, I live in my home and someone else lives in theirs. I haven't, since moving out from my parents, I haven't really shared space with other people much.
Oh, it does give the sense of disconnection and fear out of it. It's normal to feel like this. There's something that's not like your experience, your normal experience.
I'm not sure fear is still, maybe it is.
Connect to it better.
Pesky old fear, it's usually there somewhere.
Connect to it. Connect to that sensation, the sensation of having difficulties sharing space with others. Connect to it deeper. Where do you feel it more intensely in your body?
Well, we can't connect to it because we've never experienced it. It's fear of other things. It's fear of the precursors to that. We were never allowed to reach that stage of our development. So our fears all sort of predate that.
You did say that you shared space in your family home. It wasn't
that's
actually
also
a positive experience.
That was not shared. That was an unequal relationship. So my parents and everyone in my house could enter my room. I had no lock on the door, and they very much would just barge in without knocking and interrupt whatever I was doing. They would just come in and find something that they didn't like and then complain about it.
I understand that.
Yeah, and my dad did that with all of us. It wasn't just me, but I couldn't do the same in their space. My parents had their own space. My brothers had their own space, and if I interfered with that, I'd get into trouble. You know, and I could be sent to my room, but I couldn't send anyone else to their room. So it didn't feel like shared space. It felt more like someone else's space that I was a guest in.
Okay. Well, I did say the shared space in the sense of the connotation of a place that one more person like inhabits in. But the share doesn't necessarily means it's equal. It's not an equal share. From what I understand from how you were saying is that it was mostly your parents' space, and they treated you kind of like guests, and made you look like put a lot of manipulation into making you feel lesser, as in they were doing you a favor for having you in their space.
Yeah, that came up. Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same. I need some time to heal. Okay, that's the thing. And I was asking if any other relationship that you had the same feeling of unequal share, unequal occupation of the space even being the space near the other person, and the space to touch, and we having this equality in sharing space. It's something that you want. It's something that you would actually want.
That when I imagine it in my head, that's where I'm like curious as to, oh, that sounds like it might be nice.
Okay.
I could get him on board with trying that.
Okay.
But it doesn't seem like something you just step into and it's there.
You create it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You put effort into creating it.
Mm.
How? How do you create it?
Find someone in a similar situation to me and move in together and cohabit a space. But even on a smaller level, it could be just renting a hotel room with another person.
Mm-hmm.
Then we would have the same
Living space.
equality of ownership, or like neither of us own the space, right?
Mm-hmm.
But even then, you can have like, that's your bed, that's mine.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's my food, that's yours.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the shower, so you can't use it right now.
Mm.
In my head, when I talk about inequality, it's like that's all gone.
In the sense of property over objects, that would be quality.
Objects, property, food, need, desire. You know, if someone's in the shower and I want to shower, I just go and join them in the shower.
Mm.
And we would shower together. Like that level of coming togetherness is what I imagine.
Mm.
But I think most people in their lives probably don't experience that degree of closeness.
Probably.
Or that degree. Yeah.
But the thing, the other people don't like, you're not defined by them. It's about defining what works for you and what works for you in conjunction with the part that connects with people. Do you think that
Well,
part?
I don't even know if that would work for me, because I might get there and go, no, it's not me.
Yeah, but that's the thing. You can only know, truly know, if you try. You can make assumptions, right? And the assumptions can even be very like real or possible, right? Being hit by a car will hurt. A real assumption. So don't get hit by a car.
Yeah.
But the assumption can be sharing in the sense of equality, a deep equality, space and things and life. What I understand is sharing life can be something fulfilling, very fulfilling. If there's this sense of alignment, attunement, and cooperation between you and another person.
Yeah. Spirit of attunement and alignment. They seem like nice things.
Yeah, nice things. In theory, what I'm going to ask you is, would you be okay with your other part to go for it? Possibility.
No one stop it. Well, problem is the body. It will just get up and walk away.
The problem is the body, your body.
Yeah, the body will just go.
But that's the thing, you are the part that
I get blame. I'm not taking responsibility for that.
For the body walking away.
But we all do that.
We do walk away from situations that overwhelm us.
No, I mean internally.
Internally. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I probably am the one that's most closely aligned with that behavior.
Mm.
But in the moment, it's not any individual one of us that stands up and goes. We dissociate at that point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're disconnected and the body is just doing what it needs to do to get us out.
Mm. Okay. In a way, when there is like the disconnection and dissociation, is the time that the subconscious mind takes over.
Yes, that's what's happening. Although a lot of what's come up today has come from the subconscious. So It's not a bottomless pit.
You are a part of the subconscious.
Yeah.
You, as a part, this energy is a part of the subconscious. So, so you're basically saying the body the mind dissociates and the body takes over, meaning the subconscious takes over. But my question is, which part of the subconscious? Is it you
Well,
that walks away?
none. If you had to say that one part was in control of the body, then it would be the ego.
Yeah, but the ego is in control theoretically all the time. It's basically the parts they're accepted. And the parts that aren't accepted are the ones that can take over when there's a dissociation. A dissociation can actually be the ego doesn't want to be there. And so another part that's not usually like very active takes over. That's what I see.
I don't personally have permission to take over the body.
Okay. So it's a collective decision.
It's more like an automatic thing. We just get triggered.
Mhm.
But I think that's come because we've done it enough times and repeated it enough times, it's become automatic. Perhaps in the past, when we were younger, we actually sat and thought about the decision. Now it's just like click, click and go.
Okay. So, but when that happens, when there's like this dissociation and click and go, and the body just goes, how do you feel about it?
We're actually all on board with that. We think that's the right behavior for us, but it's what we're missing out on. Because we see other people afterwards saying, oh, that was so nice to meet everyone. And we're like, yeah, that would have been nice. We regret not going and meeting everyone.
So you regret the loneliness that comes as an outcome. You regret
it feels
outcome.
like feels disconnected, feels like miscommunication and an exclusion, even though we're doing it to ourselves.
And when you notice this, how does it make you feel? I know it's a repetitive question, but it's important to understand how you feel at everything.
I'm going to blow my nose for a second.
Yeah. Okay.
We feel we've got a lot of self-love and a lot of support, which makes it hard for us to fully explore that. It makes us feel somewhere between sad and bad.
Okay.
But also sorry for ourselves. Compassion then comes out. So we get this sort of wave of negative emotion, which is then sort of swept aside by
Compassion.
internal self-support and compassion. Yeah. So it's hard to sit with it.
Okay. Can we ask permission to sit with it?
No.
Ask permission from the part that self-loves and that comes with compassion. Ask permission to be with the negative emotions for the moment.
It's not about permission. It's about that's how we've trained our brain. One of our parts might be able to do something with that. One of our permanent parts.
Do you want to bring that part over?
Yeah, I'm going to.
Can you bring another chair to bring it?
Hey,
Oh, so you are a feminine part, is it?
no,
No.
no.
So who are you?
I don't do names. Um, I'm the primal protector, in a sense.
Okay.
I look after the system. When you said earlier, make a protective bubble, I make the bubble.
You make the bubble. Okay.
I'm not in charge. I'm more like a father figure. I look out for everyone.
Okay. So that's your task, to look out for everyone and everything.
Yeah.
And in a sense, okay, is there anything that you want to say right now?
No, I was just going back to just remembering what we talked about before in the other parts, and you wanted me to go into some emotions.
Yeah, I want those parts to go into some emotions. And just for the moment, to not come with compassion yet.
Yeah, it's so which emotions did they say? They said sad, bad, and then the compassion. Yes, yeah, see, they could see it as like an abstract thing. They weren't actually in the emotion. They were looking at the emotion from the outside. The emotion's in the body.
Yeah.
They were not.
Yeah. What I wanted was to get into the emotion more deeply, meaning connecting more to the emotion.
Mm.
You know, to understand it better, because that's being the emotion that drives the actual thing, the
Yeah.
behavior.
Well, let's try and go there. What was the circumstances leading to the sadness? I wasn't.
It was about leaving and disconnecting from people in conversations, getting up and leaving, and in the sense that that part felt it wasn't itself doing it and having more control of the whole set.
There was the sadness of seeing other people congratulating each other on having had a lovely time.
Yeah,
And
true. It
having
was that.
found that connection with each other. And that, oh yeah, that gets me in the ribs, just below the ribs, in the chest, like in the stomach.
Yeah.
A little cramp. It's like, I want that too. Why don't I deserve that? Feels quite childish, like not understanding the unfairness of it. And it stings like an old wound, like that's come up so many times. Mm. And it just sits in the chest, and it just, it's not. Oh dear. That's what you're doing to me, making me cry.
There's an amount of suffering that we go through when we do parts work, but it is for a good cause. It's to understand and to be present. And I think that you seem to be able to you that part, to handle the emotions, the negative emotions better.
Yeah.
Okay. So we go for it. Okay. It makes sense to when you don't keep into the stay in the conversation, that there are connections that we miss, that can be missed, right? That would be comfortable, that would give exactly the idea that the part that isolates wanted would think it would be interesting. Meaning having a connection in which there's a equal share.
We can call them small and large. Small and large. And they're two sides of the same.
The same thing.
Yeah.
What we understand from that connections up until this moment, if I can like make a summary of it, It's something that is overwhelming, wanted, but overwhelming. So at sometimes there's the need for safety and disconnect if overwhelmed, right? And at the same time, a very wanted thing is like a goal or like a long-term thing, is to have a connection in which everything is shared. In opposite to the feeling of when you were a kid, all of you, there was this feeling of everything being unequally shared.
Yeah, I mean, I share that view. Like, we talked about reciprocity, didn't we? I remember
Yes.
that being mentioned, and it's kind of a lot of the time I'll go into a relationship, give something and get something else back, or yeah, it's
Yes.
I mean, that's to be expected. Everyone's different. People give different things and respond in different ways. I don't just discard anyone who doesn't exactly meet my ideal state, but yeah, having never found that, it feels quite an unachievable thing, like a fairy tale.
So you never found someone who kind of checked all the boxes in terms of compatibility, is that it?
Definitely not. Yeah, I never had that. Never seen it, like never caught a whiff of it.
Okay. So what are all of your boxes in terms of compatibility? Let's understand what it is before we say that there was never there. Maybe looking back into the past, there were, and they weren't just noticed. Or the
we've come
opposite,
to the conclusion that no one is going to tick all those boxes. And some of those boxes we're not going to know until we're with someone. We go, well, that's a red mark. Like, that's not for me. I don't have a list of all the boxes people would need to tick, but I have a few core things. I don't want someone who's looking to eat us, to consume us, to use us and discard us. There has to be a give and take.
So
we refuse to be other people's food, basically.
Okay. Okay.
And then recently we've been adopting a perspective of, or at least addressing the question internally of, is it right to change other people or not? Is it right to want to change someone and to act in a way that will bring about change for them? And that could be as simple as asking them a certain question that will lead them in a certain direction. Like, should I even ask that question? And we haven't met anyone else who is on that wavelength. So it feels like we're exploring it for the first time of anyone we've ever met. Like, although our mother, actually, our mum is a little bit like that to a degree. She'll sit there quite quietly, very non-judgmental.
So acting like that feels judgmental or not of people?
Not non-judgmental. Yeah, sorry, it's non-judgmental.
Non-judgmental. Okay.
Because you're
and your
sitting
mother
there.
is like that, non-judgmental.
Yeah, it's like accepting someone as they are without trying to change them is a form of non-judgment.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So we've been entering into that space and feeling that someone who is that way around us as well would be compatible, but
okay.
We haven't had a lot of relationships that have been healthy. Well, we're not sure we've had any that are healthy.
Yeah, maybe.
So it's difficult for us to really say, like, that's what we need or want. We kind of need to just get out there and start having these relationships and figure it out as we go.
Have a profile on Tinder.
Haven't been on Tinder so far, but it's possible.
Well, yeah, that's bravery, like, or insanity to go.
Yeah.
Anyway, I kind of, from what I understood, it's basically you kind of want someone ready to be there, to be compatible with you in terms of non-judgmental, in terms of having the same language, or having at least a compatible language, right? About emotions and everything, and about seeing you for your value beyond like the things that you can give, but more like the value of being an equal share of give and take, and not
Yeah, I
use.
mean, for the ideal person, and this is the fairy tale scenario, yes.
Mhm.
But we also acknowledge that that fairy tale person probably doesn't exist.
So I guess
So
the problem is by saying, because we manifest what we think, and then you manifest the thing that that person doesn't exist and cannot exist.
I
But
don't
that's the
want to
thing.
manifest the perfect person, because for the perfect person to exist, they'd have to go through some hardships that I wouldn't wish upon them.
So in a way, in order to avoid pain, you don't want to get there at all.
No, I'm settled on a sort of different path now of moving towards polyamory, where I have some sort of, you know, small relationships that feel less overwhelming to me, where I can perhaps meet one need with one person and reciprocate with them in a way that is advantageous to us both. Yeah. But again, still haven't really been in that experience to see if that works either.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever works for you. In the case of like, maybe by having a polyamorous like relationship and situation, you can have the parts of the perfect person as they add together, for example, from different people. But at the same time, it gives room to more problems, relationship problems, to regulate more emotions than just another person's emotions, beyond your own too. Okay. But I do think, personally, I do think that the idea of giving up on having a connection like that can be something that creates the situation in itself, right? In terms of like that connection, you could possibly have a connection of not feeling judged with friends, for example, or the polyamory things.
Yeah, I mean, I've had friendships where it started out feeling non-judgmental, and then that's crept in. I don't know. I think given everything that's happened to us and the relationships that we have experienced, actually these two parts are doing their best and doing the right thing historically. I don't think it's right for us to go into a room full of 50 people. I think we just need to accept the fact that other people are going to be able to do that and we're not.
Could be like acceptance, release pressure.
Possibly. I don't know. I don't feel the need to fix those two.
So, and are you also okay with the outcome of not having a change with them? The outcome being, maybe there are people who in a set of group, like they create connections and then you feel like you miss out. But
you'd have to ask us again in a year. We're in spirituality 2.0 at the moment and deeply invested in detachment from outcomes. So not wanting things to end.
You are in detachment from the outcome, but that part isn't in detachment from the outcome.
They are. They're
but they say no. They say that no. They said that they are very attached to the outcome of not themselves and you as in parts not doing things that are horrible, that are thought of as horrible to you as the collective. Like, I guess from what I understood, being harmful and hurtful with words, that would be a case because you as the whole set have suffered this.
Well, they're not attached now.
Okay, now you're not attached. But that part said it. And I have a recording of this. I have proof. Right? I will have proof. Okay, what I want to say is that you want to be detached from the outcome. Are you okay with that? Or
Yeah,
is it
it's a
something that you
spiritual
want to be?
practice. The reason I raised that was because I think you asked me to describe if I was okay with the outcome not being achieved, and at the moment I am. If you were to ask me again in a year or two, that may well change. But as a spiritual practice, just in the last year, I've adopted this quite strong internal belief that I should let things be as they are and end however they end. Like
This is
my desiring things to be a certain way can derail certain events in my life.
Yeah, it can. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. I'm all into that. I'm like, let's raise awareness for the idea that we don't actually control the outcomes.
Yeah.
The thing is, I want the other part to have the same thing and be able to release pressure because it puts a lot of pressure. It's in high alert. The part that wants connection, that creates the connection, that goes for connection. It creates a lot of pressure to be.
So that will still happen. Those two are part of us now. Like,
it doesn't make them not part of you. To look at them and to see the actual thing that is causing harm.
Yeah.
The cause of like harm is the pressure.
Yeah.
And the attachment to the outcome. Because if there was no pressure and no attachment to the outcome of connecting, of when you connect to people, there wouldn't be necessary to have so many occasions in which you needed to walk away.
It's not important to
occasions that you would be overwhelmed.
Yeah, we've been overwhelmed a lot in our life, but it's not important to us to release that pressure.
Why? My question is why? Because it creates like something that they don't like. Both of them, neither of them like it.
No, I think what resonates.
You seem to be okay, but the other parts don't like it.
What's resonating for me, for what I have gained from this experience, is to acknowledge that actually both of those parts were essentially on the same page with what was going on and collaborating to maintain that situation.
Yes. Yeah.
And what I was thinking was a split in me of wanting two different things wasn't essentially a split. It was an unmet need. It's looking at other people, seeing what they have, and then feeling I need it. I need that.
It's desire.
Yeah.
So the split would be between your strategy and your desire. But the desire just happens because we, as the higher self, whatever you call it, or us, the people, we want to get there.
Yeah, well, I feel like a disabled person with their legs chopped off, looking at a runner running up a hill and saying, I wish I could do that.
Science can create the functional legs for them to fucking run.
Yeah.
They can. They are creating the that this solution can come.
It may well come.
Yeah.
God, in this universe we live in, it probably come whether I want it to or not.
Yeah.
But there we go.
But the thing is, if you as yourself want to be bothered by this, by to put in the effort to go there. Because if you have the desire, it feels like it. And also another thing, the things have been changing. Those two parts, they're not in the same, they're not side by side anymore.
Yeah. I do a lot of protecting, but I don't make most of the decisions.
Okay.
If we were to decide, do we want to put effort into that? I might need to change chairs again.
Yes, go ahead. I'm here to bother you.
Oh, no, we're sitting on the okay.
I'm here to nag you.
May I have a second just to blow my nose again?
You need to sit. Are you going to sit on the connected part? Yeah. Okay.
No.
This is. Are you which part?
Lots of us are here right now. But we were talking about making a choice.
Yeah.
Putting in effort towards changing things, becoming more connected to large groups, to putting effort into spending time with large groups. See, to put that effort in to spend with the large groups, we just end up spending more time in that uncomfortable situation, which we find overwhelming. Why would we do that?
It's not about spending time with putting effort to spend time with a larger group. It's putting effort into spending that time being something that doesn't feel unsafe. It's different.
So putting effort into finding safe ways to experience some sort of stepping stones towards it.
Yes. Yes. And create a path to this.
Huh. What might that look like?
For example, you start taking classes with a smaller amount of people, and you start like identifying and journaling about, if when way too many people went to speak with me at the same time, how did I feel? And like
we did some of this and it didn't help.
Yeah, those are just examples. So the main thing is about the amount of attention needed with each person. If you can release the need to have so much attention with a lot of people, all the time, then I feel like you are able to stay in larger groups. For example, you want to connect and you want to hear. So wouldn't it make sense to go into places that have larger groups with people that you have like more intimacy, that you have already established a connection, and that they can actually help you into connecting to other people, instead of like being a source of preoccupation and attention and needing attention?
Doesn't work. If we go into a large group, we're going to have a bad experience because we get overwhelmed. And then when we get to the end of it, they are still going to be trading messages on that same WhatsApp group saying, wow, what a lovely time we had. And I will look back on my experience and say, well, I still didn't have that experience that they had.
So you're still going to miss out the big group. So avoid big groups to begin with. Try to have that connection with small groups. This is something that I think you're probably trying to do already.
Yeah, I think that's the way.
Yeah. And the next step, for example, would be, I'm going to establish a connection with one more person. So I'm going to bring the other people who I already have established like individual good connections. Yeah. And then we grow. Like 4. I was missing a finger. 4, then go to 5. And so small steps.
Yeah, we can do that.
And that can be progress, and that can be a way in which you also feel it becomes effortless to be there, to just be there with them and to talk about anything. Do you know something that helps? Game night. Actually, game night, in which you play games, and you end up like having to play different roles. I don't know. There are some games that are very interesting, kind of like the idea that they have different people playing different roles and more in a competitive way, but you never know who is on the other on the other team, and they're all supposedly cooperating into something, and this is about reading people, or that can be like a cooperative game. There are many games that are like this, not only competitive. So it would be interesting to go. Would be a kind of a safe environment to go into developing communication skills and feeling safer with connecting to people. Not like a deep connection right away, but a connection on how they work, how they cooperate. Do they include the other people's feelings and triggers, and do they create a safe space for this to happen?
These situations are acceptable to us. Something like work where there's like an etiquette and rules around what you say to people. Like no one expects you to go to work and talk about how sad you are. And then with the games night, like the focus is on the games. You know why you're going. You know what the safe topics of conversation are. The stimulus they're provided. If the conversation runs dry, there's something to talk about today. And games are especially good because you don't necessarily need to get drunk. I don't drink, so like going down to pubs and things has been a barrier to meeting people as well.
Yes, but there are places that they have like restaurants. They have games, and that you can go there to play games too. You can go with friends, and you can go and meet people there. It's an example. But of course, it won't necessarily be people initially invested into spirituality, or they can be. We don't know. That's the thing. That's the thing in life. There's no actual control of the outcome.
Yeah, we kind of thought getting into spirituality and particularly with Teal Tribe would mean having a common interest, and that somehow that would make it easier to be around people. But it seems like there's just as much diversity and difference, and
so there's the effort to identify people with more compatibility. We did create a lot of smaller groups, and a lot of smaller groups focus on parts work, on all of those other things, and about sharing feelings. I'm part of a group that actively journals and put the journals as a message in the WhatsApp group. And we can reply to it, or the person can ask, I just want to journal, and I just want to vet here, and I don't want someone to actually reply to me.
Yeah, we really like journaling, actually. Journaling is good fun.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of it, but I understand the how it can be good and how it can be useful as a useful tool to understanding yourself better and your feelings better and your parts too. So I won't be the one creating the options. I want you to create the options in which it would be more effortless to participate in collective and in group scenarios. How many people, up until how many people would you be comfortable with? And see from that and understand that, because some of those things are kind of the limits of of how much you can actually go right now. How distant can you go in terms of creating space for all other people to and connecting to them?
just you. All that effort
Mhm.
to then be betrayed or abused or yeah.
Backstab.
Just why? I mean, being alone sucks, but maybe it sucks a little bit less.
Than being betrayed.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now I'm observing myself before I say something to you, because I have been doing the same thing. I have been isolating myself from people physically close to me and just connecting like online, because I don't think they would understand. They they're not worthy of the effort.
Yeah.
Basically.
You can't go around, you're not worthy, you're not worthy.
But that's the thing. It's about the effort to create compatibility, the effort to like break down walls and break down patterns and break down a lot of things that I have a responsibility of breaking down my own patterns, my own like uh, reinforced negative things, unhealed states. I am the one responsible for that, and they are responsible for their patterns too. And if I don't act upon it, and I don't see that on them, I'm not respecting them. But at the same time, I have been doing that after I have put a lot of effort. So I have mostly given up after the experience, after trying if they are worthy or not. Because if talking with me and interacting with me is not going to create that amount of like expansion and everything, something else will. So it's not my responsibility to do that and to caretake for everyone else in terms of like where they're going to go in expansion and to heal more, integrate more. So, but I'm thinking about it. The unworthiness of the of putting the effort is about this, probably. Why should it be me to put the effort? Why shouldn't it be them putting the effort?
Huh?
Yeah, meaning I am saying this. How shouldn't it be like someone trying to connect to you and not making you be extremely on high alert and attentive about their feelings because they are well resolved within themselves? How would be
Yeah,
the
we don't
connection
know
with
how
other
to
people?
create that.
Hmm.
We've experienced it one-on-one with people where we just click with them and are able to have a conversation, and there's a spark and we're like, yes, this is working. But we can't create that consistently. Half the time we can't even begin a conversation with someone. It seems to need to happen spontaneously, and we haven't figured out the conditions to create it.
But is this a good or a bad thing? Because depending on the person, they don't start the conversations. People get to them. And that's like, it's so normal for them, they don't even care about it. So, like, and other people are the opposite. They have to start the conversations with everyone else. But it can also be something natural for them, and they can also feel if like it's effortless for them to just because they don't stop talking.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
I think
polar
people
opposites.
who are more extroverted seem to do quite well. Good for them.
Yeah, good for them. It's not
Yeah.
you. If it's not you, so better to be on the closer to this end. To
Like,
attract people who start the conversation.
yeah.
How do we do that?
Tricky, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, you can take the active approach of trying to seek them out and befriend them, in which case you have to sort of devise some way of measuring what it is you're looking for. Like, you know the Myers-Briggs thing where you get like 4 letters to describe your personality? There are a few of those where I'm like, I probably am compatible with these people and they probably will be good at starting conversations and holding that with me. And they're probably not going to eat me. So I can use something like that to sort of hunt people out and say, well, what's your Myers-Briggs? You know, can I learn that a little bit about you? And then put my energy towards that person and my effort towards that person.
Do you reckon that sometimes what can happen is person gets interested in establishing a connection with you if they see you being safe when having a conversation with other people, or not even that person?
Probably. Yeah, I think it's like when you're at the bottom of the social hierarchy with no friends, it's harder to make those first steps because of this situation. Like, you don't have that status. If you have that high status and got 100 friends, one person can walk up and go, wow, you have 100 friends. I immediately can infer that you're someone I'm going to be able to get along with, because you get along with so many people already.
It's not about the number. It's about like saying something that makes people relate to it.
Yeah, and in those moments where someone overhears a conversation, that could happen. But honestly, I spend most of my time in my room at the moment, like, or out in nature, or exploring the world and the countryside on my own.
What kind
No
of
one's hearing
connection
me have those conversations.
do you want? Yeah, of course. Yes. What kind of connection do you want? More in-person connection, or can it be online?
I think I want a cat.
An animal helps, definitely. It takes away a lot of pressure of not being alone, completely alone.
I kind of want drama-free relationships with someone who's got my back, who I can trust.
Definitely a cat. Yes. The only drama can be like you wanting the cat's attention and the cat back. Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, I'm not obsessing too much about exactly the relationship I want. I'm open to having relationships that aren't satisfying if I'm going to learn something from that. But I'm having trouble even initiating a conversation with someone to make those first steps. And I think some of the things you've asked me to think about, I've really struggled because I just don't have that degree of experience in my life to call upon.
Okay. Do you know what you got to do when something like that happens? This is me in the sadistic mode saying, go for the experiences.
Yeah.
Even if it feels like crazy, go for it.
Yeah, I need to let go of this idea of like big groups having everything work for them and just start where I actually am.
Yeah, there's the thing about why is it so important to be okay in big groups? Do you feel like there's something that there is related to being in big groups?
Yeah,
like a purpose?
I guess it's a sign of success. It's a sign of being liked or loved or respected, or and I imagine those people feel more secure because if they lost one friend, they have 99 more. You know,
I can trace the parallel of a superstar, like a musician, like a singer and everything. They do have like a lot of people around them, right? Yeah. And they do appear on stage and they're like a bazillion people. And in theory, for their songs, so for their lyrics, they connect to a lot of people. They don't actually know them, but they connect and they touch a part of the emotional side of a lot of people. But the thing is, it doesn't necessarily mean they have quality connections. And they do connect with big groups.
This is true.
So what I want to ask you is that why the reason to go for big groups and everything, what is associated with that in your mind? What is the quality, the positive intent that you look for in this?
I think it's animalistic from my perspective. It's like feeling apart from the herd, separated from the herd kind of thing.
Mm. Is that it? And what feeling a part of the herd means?
Well, I can look at how other people describe their experience of being in large groups and how much they love it.
Mm.
And I can say that sounds nice, but I haven't actually experienced it myself. What I experienced is just like a more animal sensation.
Mm.
Yeah.
More
Sorry.
animal sensation. How? More animal sensation. How? Go ahead. I'm going to ask my lunch.
More sensation how?
Yeah. I'm going to ask how and why on
Suppose
everything. Prepare
a
yourself.
sensation of disappointment, but also a sort of closing in of space, like a confinement. Like my space is smaller because I can't expand it to where other people are. Yeah, my world feels like it has walls all around me. Yeah. And outside those walls are people who will eat me. That
Can you describe better this sensation of being threatened, of being eaten? The threat of being eaten?
Yeah, I'm going to sit down because I'm uncomfy. I mean, it's a catch-all term for people who would use you.
What means to you being eaten?
So if someone robs you in the street, they're eating you. If someone lies to you and tries to convince you to do something that you wouldn't normally do and then betrays you, they're eating you. If someone comes and talks to you and you're like open and honest and you pour your heart out and then they go and use that against you and talk shit behind your back, they're eating you. It's kind of any aggression, any mistreatment, I suppose, disrespect in a sense.
Disconnection from you.
But really, it's that feeling of having been harmed by someone else. Yeah, intentionally.
And what if it's unintentional? Unintentional.
Well, that happens.
Can happen, for example.
But that's where you would have rupture and repair. So someone would, I would perceive that someone had eaten me, but then perhaps I would talk to them and find out that something else was going on, and repair that, and then I wouldn't feel that way. Yeah.
But would that mean that you would be uneaten?
Yeah,
or you will still be eaten? So
the metaphor breaks down a little bit there. Yeah,
so
regurgitated perhaps.
So a possibility. A possibility to kind of bounce back from the pain.
Yeah,
there is not intentional.
Yeah, I fully believe in forgiveness. I'm quite good at forgiving people.
even when they intentionally hurt you, and later on, like, reflect on it and go for it for repairing
Yeah,
it.
I think people can change their minds. They can feel bad about what they've done and come to regret it. I would generally be a little less trusting around that person, but I'm willing to forgive. Yeah.
I guess that in those cases, they would be, in a way, having to rebuild the trust. Having to rebuild the trust that was broken by it.
Yeah.
If they want. That's the thing. For example, someone
yeah,
who
I think.
Okay, you can talk. Say.
I think of trust a little differently than most people, but in common usage terms, I would say yes, you could rebuild trust.
I'm kind of trying to use those common terms, and I do see that there's like a unique way to communicate that you have in terms of like the definition of every word and the meaning. And this in itself is something good, because we give meaning to the word. We have like, oh yeah, that's the context, but it's how we interpret the interpretation of each word, how we interpret it. That's what actually gives meaning.
Yeah, and it comes from doing lots of work and thinking about these things. Yeah.
Yes, it comes from this. A lot of time thinking and wondering and questioning and trying to create solutions about this. And now I want to ask you to go actually to a place that's kind of uncomfortable. Meaning the place in which you don't put out that much effort in this, about the communication itself, and you just deal with the consequences. That's the uncomfortable place. Meaning you don't prepare, and you are just thrown into the situation and having to deal with it. I just want you to imagine it.
Are you suggesting that I think, what if nothing changed and I stayed in this situation forever?
No, what I am suggesting you is to think about the opposite of what you actually are doing now. You are actually overthinking. You're actually like preparing a lot in anticipation of being, in a way, about the possibility of being eaten. You prepare a lot about it. And I want you to just run the scenario in which you didn't prepare at all. It just happened to you.
So I'm in a, help me to visualize it. I'm in a room, there's people, what's happening?
Yeah, that's the thing. You're not caring.
Okay.
They're connecting to you or not.
Yes.
You're not caring about about you starting the conversation with them.
Okay.
You're not
so the body gets
about
up and
following
leaves.
them, about following their conversations.
Yeah. So I just get up and leave.
You can't believe.
I stand up and I leave the room.
You stand up and leave the room.
Yeah. That's what I do at the moment.
Yeah. In that case, you're not going to stand up and leave the room. You're going to force yourself for this moment, just this occasion, to stay more, stay longer, and just observe. They're in their own world, but someone can approach you. And someone can start a conversation with you and ask your opinion about something. Why did they do that? They fucking value your opinion. That's it. That's why. Just that. And it's about what's the favorite, a very good topic that you like to have a conversation.
Well, this is the thing. I do think my opinion has great value.
It has, but that's the thing. The thing is for people to recognize it, to know, and not being you the one to actually start reaching and creating the situations in which your opinion is exposed. No, people come to you, not the opposite.
I'm sometimes reluctant to express my opinions unless people ask for it and want it.
Okay. Can be
I'm never
like,
going to be
Mm.
that loud person in the group who's pushing
Mhm.
other people to be a certain way.
Okay. I want you to imagine that you are that loud person.
Okay.
Yeah. I want you out of your comfort zone.
Okay. Well, let's
Okay.
go full sociopath.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about them. Think like they feel. Like connect their energy. What would they be feeling? Would they like your voice? To hear
All right,
their own voice?
we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to stand by the outside so I can stare outside at my space. It's all mine.
Mhm. Yes. And you're like one of those people. Stay
I'm not like
humans,
them.
you can connect to anyone.
I'm not like them. They're shit.
Yeah, but in this moment, for this exercise, you're like them.
I like them. Okay.
You are like them. You're just like them.
I'm just like them.
Yeah.
All right. How do I become better than them?
You don't have to be better than them. Just feel them. Yeah. It's uncomfortable, but I want you to experience the opposite of you, of your perspective.
But they're just walking like in lines, like they're not going anywhere. They're not achieving anything. That one's got a dog. That's a waste of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
And
what is that dog really going to do?
the dog is going to jump and is going to require walks and
It's
it's
just a
going to
trophy.
bark at you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to make noise. It's going to shit
Yeah.
on the floor.
Yeah, it's going to shit on the apartment. It's going to pee too.
Well, they probably
And
deserve it anyway.
and you have to kind of clean it. And somehow, some way, if you're actually like a sociopath, you can keep the dog shit, get drunk and throw on people's windows. And why to do that? Just to see like a different perspective of you. You're not actually going to do that. Imagine the scenario. You do that. And why people do
Well,
that?
if someone's grieved me that badly, like, they're not going to have any windows left.
So to everyone who kinds of like acts badly around you or makes you feel like hurt, emotionally hurt, you are the guy that keeps the dog shit and then throws at their windows in this imaginary scenario.
I've never done that, but yeah, if they deserve it, I'm sure.
Yeah, so they deserve it.
I mean, most of them do.
Okay,
To be
so
honest.
I want you to connect to the feeling of actually throwing the dog shit at the window and how it can be like thrilling and like exhilarating, full of adrenaline to do
I mean,
that.
at this point, I just throw the dog through the window and it can shit all over the place. Save
Yeah,
me
it
getting my
could
hands
be.
dirty.
But you could like use a glove or something like that.
Yeah. Whatever, as long as they get fucked up, I'm fine.
But connect with the feeling. Describe to me how it would be feeling to throw it and then run. Because yeah, you don't want to be caught.
Doesn't really matter if I get caught, as long as, like, that's going to happen eventually, isn't it?
But you try not to get caught.
You know, like what you're describing, it sounds to me is like a childish thing. Like,
Yeah.
when they're like, oh, I run it and then run away and like it's a joke. No, if I'm not just going to like mess up someone's life for a joke. That's just.
Yeah, no, but the thing is, they can do it, or they can do it with the people who bother them.
Yeah.
So throwing the dog shit at the window. I think it's funny, but like my part that's like my childish part thinks it's funny.
Yeah.
Not something that I would actually do, but like
I
a
wouldn't either,
negative consequence
honestly.
to the person who was bothersome for being bothersome. You know?
I can connect to that aspect of humanity
but it's not a strongly represented aspect of myself.
Yeah, but what I'm kind of trying to get you to do is to connect to a different aspect that is not usually you.
Yeah. Mission
Know
successful.
why? Yeah, okay. So that person is a person who can actually talk to a lot of people and not care.
I'm not
They
sure I'd
don't-
want to talk to them, but yeah, like, okay.
That person decides they just want to talk whenever they want to talk. It can
Well,
happen
there's
often or not.
There's times when I see people talking shit and they don't know what they're talking about, and I want to set them straight, but then I'm like, it's not really worth it.
Yeah.
That kind of breaks down there because that's not how I think, but I could think that now. In practice, my reasons are different.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the main thing here is just to see that it could be a potential. You choose not to. You have your reasons why you choose not to be like that. You have a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
From trauma and unhealed trauma to actually like a sense of self-image, your self-concept about it. And I need to stop a little bit because I have to get my lunch. Just a little bit, like return the recording. After that part, where are you right now? Are you in your central perspective, taking your coffee? Okay.
I'm in my ego, but also I feel quite small. A little. When I'm I can get like a little bit confused when I'm shifting from one perspective to another. And it's easier to think small, little. It takes less focus and energy.
To keep small. What?
Just to feel like younger, to be littler. But we can shift.
So you want to shift, stay in the same position, and just shift the perspectives. It can be done like channeling each part as you speak.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Well, it can be done like this too. There's no problem. Well, the main thing here is to understand what each part, like up until now, has found it is safe to be and to work the way they can work and to feel safe. Up until this moment, what has been very clear is that there has been like an agreement to be going for not creating so much connection, and at the same time there's a desire to have that a more significant connection.
Yeah, I think a lot of people deal with this. It's like the wanting to pull people towards you, but really pushing them away. And keeping people at a distance.
Okay. This is okay. You're going to say.
We don't normally rush into relationships. Yeah. The relationships we've had have been mostly with people who will rush in with us. And they sort of almost force the connection, break through our walls and engage with us. Um, yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
So in a way, was the way that the connections started somewhat unwanted? Because they broke your walls and everything. They kind of
Yeah.
forced it in a sense.
Yeah. We're
So
very
would,
different.
Mhm. So would it make sense to say that you wanted an effortless connection?
We think that might not be viewed well by other people if
Mm.
they would perceive that we weren't putting any effort in.
Okay.
Um,
But that's the idea. What do you understand by what I mean when I say an effortless connection? Because my understanding of it, it's not that people don't do anything to keep the connection, but more in the sense of like doing things to keep the connection feel effortless. They
oh,
don't
it does.
feel like you're forcing yourself to do this. It's naturally going. The more you do, the more that you want to do. That's the effortless that I want to say.
It's a huge effort for us to stay in touch with someone. It's the effortlessness can come in the form of ease.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can just be easy to talk to someone, but that tends to be in the moment when we've hit upon a good conversation and conversation starts to flow.
Mm.
But maintaining relationships requires a certain amount of just chat, just
Mm-hmm.
staying in,
Mm-hmm.
what are you doing today? How's the weather today? Are you feeling well? Is your back feeling better? And that requires you to be paying attention to that other person and building up a mental picture of them and their life. And I'm not sure we even have that.
Okay. So maybe it doesn't seem effortless to you because of the amount of conversation that you would have that would be unwanted, unwanted topics, basically.
Yeah,
Meaning,
we feel bad about that, but also yes.
yeah. What if you encounter people who are more into feeling easily connecting to you and knowing what to talk about, and that also being okay for them?
Yeah, specifically people who don't read too much meaning into it for themselves. So I had a girlfriend who, if I didn't answer her phone call, it meant I was cheating on her, or it meant I didn't. In fact, if I didn't put an X or a heart on a message, that meant I didn't love her or that I was angry at her. And that's not compatible for me.
That's a lot of pressure, and also putting the responsibility of taking care of her own insecurities to you. It's like like delegating or need to regulate her emotions. That's not fair. Basically, that's not fair. That was basically making you be constantly on high alert and stepping on X to not like trigger her. But that's triggering. That's exhausting.
It was.
So to me, like personally, I think it would make sense. A better connection for you would be with someone who is very observing too. And it's very self-assured of themselves. To understand that your actions are mostly based on things that are in your inner world and things that are needs, current needs that comes from trauma, from being hurt, and being okay with that.
Yeah.
Okay with you being a work in progress. And probably them themselves being okay with them being a work in progress.
okay with us if we stayed this way forever.
Even if that means that.
We don't think of ourselves as a work in progress.
So you go, okay.
Like
So
obviously we learn and grow, but it's
Mhm.
become more a natural thing rather than a pursuit.
Okay. So
it's
you're going for expansion in a effortless.
Yes. And
Mhm.
actually, if people are like pushing us and forcing us, expand, grow, heal,
That's
we
okay.
start. No.
Okay.
Because we have had that in our lives, and it's pushed us to do things we weren't comfortable with.
Okay. Okay. So what I want to ask in the end is how you feel in general about this experience.
But this experience is,
Yeah.
we don't get to talk to people much in a position of being able to shift perspectives. We've had a few people in our lives who do parts work. But even with most of them, like we haven't spent enough time together to really get down in it. This is kind of it feels like a new experience to me. And with that comes like the promise of possibly something new and different, and being able to make these kinds of connections with people more often. So it sort of feels like opportunity. And it was nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too, Luke. What I'm going to ask you is, how do you feel about the things that you have learned about your feelings of isolation?
I think I've moved towards accepting it and understand, and really understanding as our main goal. I noticed at times it seemed like you wanted me to reach like a solution.
Yeah, I am trying to do this as a therapist. Yeah, but part of the
And for me, it's not about a solution, it's about understanding.
Okay, and I understand this. I got to understand this. I'm doing here, asking you as in also if you what you want to do right now, if you want to change perspectives, shift perspectives, or we can end the session itself. And we can talk about it later, this session, but not in the sense of having to enter parts.
I will need a rest now.
Valid. Yes.
To sort of process the experiences that I've had. When I'm down deep in one perspective, sometimes those memories aren't shared, and I have to sort of reintegrate those.
Yes.
By sort of thinking back on it from a collective perspective.
Okay. What I can say from what I saw from your relationship with your parts is that I have never seen someone having a relationship like that. So you also got me out of my comfort zone.
No.
Yes. In the sense of you already having a sense of cooperation between your parts and being aware of this, the sense of cooperation. And not in the sense of like, oh, there are needs and different positions, meaning different ways, different strategies that harm each other, but more like the strategy that in a way, it was kind of, they are working together in the sense of you wanting connection and at the same time paying a lot of attention, being on high alert in that sense of wanting to create. It's like you want to create like valuable connections at the start because of the level of presence and attunement that you give, that you provide, right? And the other part, knowing, hey, here we are overdoing this. So whenever we are overdoing this, I'm just going to shut this out and walk away. So in a sense, one part knew they could very much rely on the other.
Yeah, we all can.
Yeah, and that in itself, it's beautiful to see, actually, between parts. You know, but I'm also more used to like parts being openly oppositional, like at least my parts also screaming to each other, "Fuck yeah!"
That's how it started. Well, yeah, that's how it's.
It can happen too,
Mm.
and it's okay. And in the sense that I think that any shift, if there is a need to a shift, if you actually understand there is a need for a shift, needs to come as the more parts are like, or where they're cooperating and everything, needs to come from a more central perspective, meaning you need more parts to want the same thing, to have there being a shift.
Yeah, when we do all come together and make something our priority collectively, it goes well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is establishing connection a priority right now or not? Or after you have gone through this?
Maybe it should be. At the beginning of this year, we did set an intention to make connection our goal.
Mhm.
But what we think of connection as being has been challenged by the universe, and it's sort of changed, evolved over the course of the year.
Mhm.
Because you can connect to an individual in a romantic sense or in a friendship sense. You can connect to a group in a kind of business sense of working together, or in a sort of rebellious sense of fighting the system or occupying a cause. You can pursue shared interests, and there's so many different ways to connect. And we've explored a lot of it. But the journey continues.
It continues. As in, it's not like, it's a book that is continue to be written, basically.
Yeah, there continues to be more to discover and experiment with. We find that perfect solution of eternal happiness, but the reality is going to be trial and error, going outside of our comfort zones, getting bumped.
Yeah, and right in this session, I wanted to create that, basically, putting you out of your comfort zone many times.
Yeah.
And because it's important to navigate the different perspectives and the different ways to see things. It doesn't necessarily means you have to be in that different like perspective. It's just important to know when to get like an inkling and like a sense of connection to that. Also to understand what works and doesn't work for you. I do see that you do have a lot of things, you have a good knowing of what works and what doesn't work for you. So all of this to say, I am sorry for nagging. I was doing my job.
No, you've been
And
wonderful. It's been great to have someone guiding me, because it's taken me down paths I wouldn't have thought to go myself.
That's the value of this. And anyway, kind of like, anyway, there's those that I did of different perspectives. I remember what I wanted to say. I did a lot of past life regression, self-regressions. So in a sense, it's to you get into the perspectives of the actual people that you say, I will never be like that. In your past life, you could be like that. Yeah. So the thing about going to that, at least what worked for me, is that I could sense and experience how it would feel to do something very opposite to who I am right now, to what the decisions that I would make right now. And that expanded my perspective because of that. That anyone that I look to must also have had multiple lives in which they did good and bad things. So the action in itself they take at a given moment cannot define all of them, because there's way much more beyond that action.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do define themselves by things they've done or things that were done to them or labels. And, and the is we are all split in different parts, and where those parts are ever changing, evolve in this life. And
that's also the other thing, is that it made me able to connect to people who have actually done harmful things to me, because I was like that in different lives, and I felt how it felt, you know. That gave me an understanding in that sense of experiencing, walking on their shoes, basically.
Yeah.
All of this to say,
it's an incredible go from like one extreme to the other through everything in between.
Yeah. And to also, in a sense, it gave me a sense of freedom in terms of like, whatever I do actually is like my conscious choice, but I can make mistakes because my past lives made mistakes, and I'm living here. I'm probably suffering from those mistakes, but at the same time, I am also having good consequences for good decisions made from past lives too.
Yeah.
And good decisions from the soul, and good decisions from my family line. And all of that is valid, as in there's more of the idea of things aren't good or bad. They just are, because we live in a world of polarities in which we are here to experience that. We are here because we are kind of addicted to the pain. In the sense of, we wanted this. There are moments that we want to throw the whole like contract for the window, but yeah.
Yeah, the part of me that was a pain carrier, I got that kind of vibe of being addicted to the pain. Yeah.
We are addicted to the pain, and we are addicted in trying to find a solution. That's how I see to the pain. Our own way to go for this, no matter how it is. That's basically it. You can feel the energy bubble, like the protective bubble, returning back to you. Yeah, embracing back into your heart, thanking your spiritual guide for this and for the coffee. But you did make it, but like the universe. So yeah.
Thank you, universe, for my coffee.
Yeah. And I will end the recording right now.
Lovely. Thank you. Bye.